you have the sadness of all the challenges that we've had with the pandemic, contrasted with some really positive personal growth. So it's been a challenging yet growth-filled 2020.
Well, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Rock Your Brand podcast. I'm your host, Scott Voelker, a serial entrepreneur on a mission to help you. This show is designed to teach you, to inspire you, to motivate you to take massive action and build a future-proof business. So, whether you're just starting out or taking your existing business to the next level, this is your home. Now, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's rock your brand. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Rock Your Brand podcast. This is episode 930. And man, I am excited because today we are going to be doing another hot seat or strategy session, as we also call them. And this is with one of our Brand Creators Academy members, one of our students, Octavio, who's also been just such a great member as far as helping other people. I mean, he literally just shot a video inside of the Academy showing people how he optimizes his content. And by the way, and he'll explain this in this hot seat, is that, when he started just over 7, maybe 8 months ago, he had nothing. He didn't have a domain name, didn't have hosting. Now he's got over 100 articles. He's ranking on page 1 and actually in position 1 on some of his keywords already, getting traffic, built his email list. He just created a digital product. Then he launched it. Now we're going to be talking about, okay, now what? And I talk a lot about how to get in the game. And a lot of people want to stay on the sidelines, or they want to watch the game. They want to play the game. They want to get in, but they just, struggle with taking that first step. Well, Octavio kind of was stuck for a little while. And then once he got in the game, this is what we get to do. So I want you to just think about that. If you are stuck or if you're thinking about your next move, you gotta get in the game if you want to be able to play the game and start getting some results. So what I decided to do here is break this up into 2 parts because, actually in the first part, we really go deep into what his next moves are as far as taking his digital product, how to bolt something on. And actually, we discovered something really, really good for his market, and you're going to hear what that is, and then how he can either add that as an upsell or a bump, as we call it, or he can use that as his digital product that leads to his other digital product. And you're going to hear just some of the things as far as what he is going to be doing next. And you're going to also find out it's not doing everything. It's picking 2 or 3 things and going and doing those and then reevaluating like we're doing right here. And then from there, executing on those. Now, in part 2, we will be talking more about productivity, but also how do you get yourself back in the game once you kind of took a pause and you're like, I kind of lost my rhythm. I lost my momentum. Or I want other people to start helping me build out this brand. And so we kind of go through that because that is a struggle at times. And we go through some strategies that he's going to be able to use, and also just evaluating what he's doing, what can be offloaded, or should he just continue doing it for a little while longer. So this way here, he can stay in the game a little bit more. It'll all make sense once we dig in. But in this episode, you're going to hear part 1 of this full out transparent hot seat session or our strategy call with Octavio, and basically everything that he's done up to this point, but then what is he going to do next? And we're going to brainstorm, we're going to strategize, and you get to listen in. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. All right, Octavio, what has happened to my man? Now, we are recording this, of course, before it airs, but it's going to air after 2021 has officially begun. But we're real close to 2021. But if people are listening to this or watching this, it's probably going to be probably around January 6th-ish. Or if you're listening to this in July, then you're listening to it a few months later. So anyway, what's up, man? How are you doing? And today we're going to be talking about really, kind of like what's happened, what's going to be happening moving forward. So what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Scott. It's great to be on with you. I know we've had a fantastic, crazy, if you look at it from the pandemic side, we've had a crazy 2020.
Oof, yeah.
Here we are in the final few days of 2020, and looking back, it's been a combination of, again, getting used to something that's unprecedented,
Mm.
at
Sure.
at the same time building something completely brand new that I've always dreamt of doing,
Hmm.
um, and having some good results from that. So,
Yeah.
you have the sadness of all the challenges that we've had with the pandemic, kind of contrasted with some really positive personal growth and business growth. And so, it's with kind of mixed feelings that I wrap up the year, kind of feeling like it's been a challenging yet growth-filled 2020. And maybe that's how I'll put it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I always try to look and see like what came from this. Like what, something bad happened, but what did we learn or what did we accomplish or what did we shift our thoughts or whatever? And I mean, we've all had to kind of adapt and shift and even just our thinking. But there's been a lot of great things too if you look at it a little bit differently. And I think if you can do that, then you can kind of get through anything. But really, what I wanted to do here today is I wanted to dig into a little bit more of where you're at, where you're going. I know this is also going to be a hot seat inside of the academy. And that I like to do these with our members, but I also like to share them every now and then outside of the academy. And spoiler alert, it's to kind of let people know what we do on the inside of the academy, right? Like, so, let's just be honest. I like people to see like this is what we do, this is the involvement we give. And I just want people to kind of listen in on this call. This is really what I look at, like at these calls. It's like a strategy call. It's kind of like we're sitting down, we're going to go through what has happened so far, what you're working on, maybe what you're struggling with now, because things you're struggling with now isn't necessarily what you were struggling with 6 months ago or last year at this time. It was totally different, but now there's a new set of struggles, which, we're going to overcome them. So why don't we start unpacking here a little bit? Where do you want to dig in?
So, it's so funny because I didn't really look at this as a hot seat, but now I think it's a great opportunity to kind of unpack every why don't we just unpack the entire journey, kind of
Yeah.
where I've gone through, because I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
done a hot seat, have I?
Yeah. I don't know if you have. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I've done some calls with you leading up to like your launch of your digital product and stuff, but I don't know if we ever have done a hot seat. Have we? I don't
So
think we
so
have officially.
I don't think we have. So to make this the most value for the listeners or watchers,
Yeah.
however we're going to do this, I'll give a brief recap of
Yeah.
where I am, and because I
Yeah.
agree with you. I think this is really, for those considering BCA, and this wasn't scripted, obviously, but this is really like the biggest value aside from the community that BCA offers compared to anything else that I saw out there. Is holy crap! I have access to Scott Volker, who's got all this experience, and Chris Schaefer as well. All this experience, both developing websites and selling online and Amazon and stuff like that. This whole breadth of experience, and I don't know, short of maybe some masterminds that people are spending thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
I don't know any other place where you can come and get this type of one-on-one experience and coaching and mentorship online. So I just want to make sure I put that out there,
Yeah.
totally unprompted by you, but I want to
Yeah.
make sure that people have a chance to recognize what's going on here. So I started off in BCA, or my journey, earlier part this year, where I went through Scott's niche validation, and all the teaching that we have here in BCA. Established my niche. I was going to determine I'm going to go after the um, plant-based diet niche,
Yep.
and I developed my website, my home base, as we like to call it.
Yep.
And then Scott and Chris, really taught us how to develop a rhythm of basically just developing one blog a week, and planning to do that for 52 weeks. That was the initial goal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Got to a point where I had found a writer on, I've used everything. I think now I'm on Upwork. Found a really consistent writer who wrote really well. We had a good work relationship. And I was together, make a long story short, we would come up with one blog a week. and I'd edit, do the final edits, post that. And we just got in that rhythm where eventually that became easier. And I thought, hey, I wonder if I can find another writer where maybe I can do 2 a week. And then I found another writer, added them into the mix, and maybe occasionally I would write my own blogs as well to contribute to that. And so maybe now I'm doing 3 a week. And so it was the process in BCA taught me very quickly how not only to establish a website as my home base, and to do all the accessory or ancillary things required to get that set up, but also how to develop content very easily and develop a system for doing that, a very duplicatable system for doing that, where now I'm probably consistently coming out with 2 to 3, sometimes up to 5 blogs per week that I could post. And after, I think after 3 months or so, I started ranking on Google. And so you start seeing some progress and start seeing some upward momentum, where the ultimate goal is, I think initially the goal was after a year, I would love to see my website developing about $1,000 a month. So we're just starting to, we're now at we're probably fair to say, like, I know I started actually working on the website probably maybe the end of last year, like literally the last week of December or so. But really, if I'm honest, like really started getting traction around April or May. So if we're looking at it that way, I'm probably more like 7 or 8 months into seriously doing this. So I still have a few more months to hit my goal. This last month, the Scott and the team kind of helped me develop my digital product. We put that out for sale to my email list, and I'm happy to say I got some sales out of that. My email list isn't huge. I've got about 2,000 people on my email list. Really, if you look at how many my opens are, my active group of people, it's about 15 to 20% that open regularly. So what I did is I looked at that 15 to 20%, let's say 20% as a high of my list. And I expected, I guess if my open rates are more average, about 15%. If you do 20% of that, it's about 300 people that I expected would open and consider my digital product. And out of that, just from what I saw online, I heard that 1 to 2% sales off of the people that open is something that's average. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So what I was expecting was literally with 300 people that open, 2 to 3% or 1 to 2% of that would be 3 to 6 sales. And I got 5. So 4 organic and 1 Matt Colucci, my buddy in the BCA, bought one as well, which I appreciate. So it's right in there. It's right in there in terms of what I expected. It's not huge sales, but you know what it did? It validated that there's a market out there and there are people looking and willing to put their money down for the product that I'm offering. So now where I'm at right now is I want to work with you to identify what we did well, what we can do better, and refine that. And I've already put that on my thank you page. I want you to review that maybe and give me some tips on what we can do to make that better. But just going forward, kind of continuing with what we're doing with creating blogs and developing our traffic, but also what's next in terms of where can I go from here?
Yeah.
Sorry, I threw a ton out there.
No. I mean, you got people caught up. I mean, I didn't need all of that, but everyone else did. so let's give it to everyone else. And if people are watching this in BCA, they might not know of you, you know what I mean? Like as everyone else might, because you've been an active member. And so what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about that stuff that has happened. Then we can go into whatever you want to, as far as like where you want to go.
Absolutely.
And I do have some ideas already. And actually it's funny because I was just talking to, I was emailing Matt this morning and he was giving me his update on his progress. And, I mean, he's done a phenomenal job. He's a full-time paid fireman. So people that say you can't do this with a full-time job, you absolutely can. You have a full-time job. You just had your busiest quarter at work. So you were kind of like a little stressed out, right? You're like, I got to keep this momentum up. But you were able to still do it. I mean, you kind of found some strength there. You might've leaned on some members, whatever, and said, hey, I need some help here. And we kind of nudged you a little bit, but it is what it is. Right. And I think that's also what you wanted to talk about is like, how do you get back in the rhythm after you've been out of the rhythm? for a little bit. So I definitely want to speak to that. But you and Matt are almost like side by side in comparison. Now Matt is a little bit further because he's taken his digital product and I believe he sold just under 30 to his email list, which was phenomenal. And then what he did was he took the thank you page, added it to that, but then he turned his ads back on. And since he's done that, let's see here. If I remember the stats right from this morning, he got 146 people opt in, paid. Okay. He paid, I think he said right around 66 cents a lead. I think he spent like 120, 130 bucks, something like that. I think it was, or maybe a little bit more. I forget what it was now. Maybe it was 150, whatever the math is. But he sold 2 immediately on the thank you page for 10 bucks each. Then I said to him, your next thing now is the people that didn't buy on your new email list, which he's got an email list of about 3,000 people. I said, those 150 plus people, we need to send them to a deadline sequence now. So he did that. Well, he did that within the first 3 hours. I think he sold 2 from doing that, which was amazing, right? So he ran it for, I believe, 3 days, ran through that same cycle. And I believe the number was this morning that he told me, I think he had a total of 6 sales. Okay. So 60 bucks, he spent about 150 bucks, let's call it. So he's still not in the positive, but he's a lot better. I think we figured it out this morning. So whatever the math works out to, he paid about 29 cents an email after he recouped $60.
Nice.
Yeah, but the big thing here is that you're going to recoup that more by you giving them more offers in the future. So what I had said to him was, okay, this is exactly what I said this morning. He hasn't implemented it yet. He will, because he's an action taker just like you. But I said, okay, now you've sent that email sequence, that deadline sequence to just a very small, your new list, right? 150 people. Well, let's take that same sequence and let's run it to the whole list one more time. Right. And he's like, okay, great ideas. I wrote an email for him, Octavio. I wrote an email in the email that I was sending him. And I'm like, and it took me about, 10 minutes, but I go, this is a rough draft. Do what you want with it. But I think this would be a good angle. And I would give people, instead of it being a 50% off, give them a 40% off. So that way it's not the same.
Right.
And then what's going to happen is out of your entire list now, you'll probably make the money back that you spent on your initial 150 emails. And now they're free now.
Nice.
Right? And that's what you want to rinse and repeat that. But the big thing that he needs to work on, and you need to work on, is you need a bump.
Right.
Bottom line is we need a bump. And what is a bump? If you're listening to this and you don't know what it is, whether you're in BCA, whether you're listening on the podcast, what a bump is basically something that you can add to the order. It's not necessarily a one-time offer. It is a one-time offer, but it's a bump, meaning they can just check a box and they can instantly get that product. Okay. Now we have this that we're using inside of the email list building fast track workshop. We have a bump there. We also have one inside the digital product creation fast track workshop. So basically $37, $27 for the bump. Okay. Well, we're getting a 55% uptake on that bump. So that's what does that do to when you're running Facebook ads now? Now I can spend $63, $64 to acquire a customer, but you're only messing with 10 bucks. So we need to get that 10 bucks up to 20 bucks somehow. And then we go from being, a little bit in the red to where now we're 100% break even or a profit.
Nice.
Right. So like I said to Matt, I go, your next thing isn't worrying about really anything other than creating another digital product. Doesn't have to be a big one, or it could just be a small add-on that would go to that existing one now. Because now that we have that working, if you think about it, we turned on ads, we're getting leads for 66-ish cents, somewhere around there. We have a thank you page in place. Out of just those people, 2 people purchased cold traffic.
Yeah.
And so now that cold traffic, let's talk about that. Let's say those people come in and those 2 people bought. What if I had a bump and one of them bought the bump? Now, instead of making 20 bucks, I might've made 30 bucks.
Yeah.
That's a big difference when you're paying for ads.
Absolutely.
So if we dialed that in and now all of a sudden it's break even, what am I going to tell Matt to do? Keep spending money.
Turn it on, man.
Just turn on the faucet, man. I don't know about you, but I want to put $1 in and get $1 back and then have a customer that's there. I mean, they're a customer too, right? That purchased. Now you have free leads that you're going to be able to play with too. But now if he didn't turn on that deadline sequence that we talk about, and we show you how to do that inside the academy, it's under the Profit Maximizer inside digital product creation. But basically, if we did not run that little 3-day or 4-day sequence, whatever it was that he ran, I forget if it was 3 or 4 days. If we didn't run that, he wouldn't have got those 4 additional sales. Just wouldn't have happened, right? So that's why we always want to be thinking about how do we add more, okay, to the customer's journey of possibilities to buy, okay?
And so where does that bump come in? So because like right now I have my lead magnet. I just put in my first ebook. And then so where would that bump come in after they buy the ebook?
No. So yes, it won't come after. So depending on what you're using, okay, now you would have the bump really embedded in that page. So now because you're probably, I think you're just using the ConvertKit, right? For the page. And so is Matt. So you and Matt both are using ConvertKit to do this, which is great. Now, if you do not have a tool such as Samcart or Kajabi, ClickFunnels, any of those, if you don't have those, you can also use WooFunnels. That has and that's actually probably less expensive. I think it's like a license for the year is like $30 or something.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's a little bit, I don't want to say complicated, but it's a little bit more to hook it in. But that's why we got Chris Schaefer on the team here, right? Like, I mean, Chris will show you how to do it. We actually did that in that one example that we shared inside of the digital product creation. I won't mention it here because it's private to the BCA community. But it's that one we did use WooFunnels because we wanted to be able to do it without using one of those other tools, just in case you don't want to pay for it. Yeah.
Right.
Which I would say once you start once Matt dials that in and it starts becoming break even, I'd say the first thing I would say is invest in a cart that's going to allow you to do a bump and or a one-time offer, because that is everything. It's like leading them in with the one thing and then offering additional things on the back end. That's where it's going to be. But for you, it would be that's what I would probably recommend first, is where what happens is they come up to the page. They're going to see your offer. They're going to say, yes, I want this offer, right? And then right along the side, it's going to have a little thing there that says, get the ultimate, recipes for plant-based or something like that. Regular price, $17.99, one-time offer, $9.99, little checkbox. It adds it automatically to their order. They don't have to put their credit card in again, and boom, it's done, right? They automatically get it. Now, the other way you can do it is just immediately give them that offer in an email. But the problem with that is then they got to take their credit card back out again. They got to enter their information, and then your conversion rate's going to be a lot less. So that's how we would hook that in. But with that being said, if you get it converting like Matt did, so he basically said, I turned my traffic back on. I was getting, I think he was still getting a 35% conversion on the opt-in. That means he's getting that many people are coming over to see the offer now, because now it's immediately on the thank you page. And then from there, he followed up with a deadline sequence. So he's got that all built now. So now it's a matter of just turn on the Facebook ads, let that traffic keep coming in, and then you keep monitoring the conversions. And then you ask yourself, how do I bolt something on that could take me from being a negative to a positive, or at least a break even? And that's it. That's the name of the game. But now, because he has his full list, why not take, instead of it just being a sequence to those people, to the smaller list, why not then go, hey, we're heading into 2021. And for you, I mean, you're like, your market is all over this.
Right.
Hey guys, we're getting ready to hit 2021. I know you're probably a lot like me. This is when we get serious about our diets and our health, right? Well, I want to do you a favor. I want to give you my ultimate guide to plant-based, and plus this bonus of 10 extra recipes for just $9.99. This offer is going to be available for the next 3 days because I want you to have this so you can kick off 2021 with a bang, like whatever. Right. Nice. And it was funny because Matt said to me this morning, he's like, oh, that sounds really cool. I'll do that after the first of the year. I go, why wait? Why are we waiting? Matt, why are we waiting? And he messaged me back and he goes, you're right. No reason to wait. I'm like, why are we waiting? He goes, I sent out an email already this week. So send another one. Like, why? There's no rules, right? So I always love giving it to Matt because, because he's good about it, but I'm just like, why are we waiting until like the first week in January, the second week in January? Why?
No, hey, this is another reason why we're in BCA, man. We need accountability. We need it.
Yeah.
And you guys and the community bring the accountability. It's true. Why
yeah.
Our nature is to wait, but like, man, strike while the iron's hot, baby.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing I want to highlight here. So like you're doing things now, right? You have a digital product, you have an email list, you have a blog, you have content, right? You have all this stuff. We get to play now.
Yeah.
Right. We can play now because now you're like, well, Scott, what do I do now? How do I add this bump now? I got this digital asset. What do I do with that? But if I can't get you to do this, we can't play. We can't play the game. We need the equipment. We need the tools. We need the assets. And it gets just so much more fun when we're able to start taking these things and plugging them in and seeing what happens. Right. And we get to learn from each other and all of that stuff.
You can't steer a parked car, right?
Exactly. So for you right now, from what I'm hearing is number one, just to kind of let people know too, like you just got off being really busy at work. Let's just be honest. Right. And so, but as you were still busy, you were still doing stuff, which is awesome. So I think the biggest thing for you right now is understanding you have a digital asset. You sold some of them. But now we need to ask ourselves, is that the main thing? Maybe that's the order bump. Maybe there's something else. Like I talked to you, I think a workshop in your market is phenomenal. Sure. I think if I was in your space, I would want to sit down with someone for an hour or two and kind of either learn or get a plan to follow. Right. And so for you to jump on and do some type of live training that then would be a recording that we would turn into the front end offer. Then we bolt on that ebook that you created as the bump, right? So we can mix and match any way we want because your offer can now be a $27 offer or $37. When you get video involved, we can start increasing that price.
Right.
An ebook, we're probably going to max out at like 19, 20 bucks, and that's on the high end, right? Okay. But usually you want to lead in it with that book. You might want to lead in with $5 and then you're going to have your video, class on the back end for $27.37. Right.
Got it.
So we can mix and match those. We can play with those, but those are assets. That's why I always tell people we got to build the digital assets. So you could either bolt something onto the ebook right now and add an audio book. Like a simple thing would be just read it, make it an audio book. Now add that as a bump. There you go.
Oh, true.
Super easy. So sit down for a couple hours, read through it, or hire someone to do it if you don't want to read it yourself, and just read it. And then you got your audiobook. So on the bump, it would be like, want the audiobook for $9.99, add it to your order.
Nice. Okay.
That's it. Yeah. Simple.
I like that. Yeah. That's all those options are what I'd love to figure out. Exactly that. Like, is the ebook going to be the start and then we put a bump on the back, or do we do something initially and put the ebook as the bump on the back as well? Or those are all, but I agree with you. I think bottom line is we need more offers eventually so that we can take them to an incremental step and help us get to that break even or black.
Yeah, it's exactly what we need. And a lot of people, they go, okay, well, I'm creating content. Like, when's that content going to turn into money? Right? Well, the content is really the attention to bring people over to your site. That's where we need offers. Or if we have enough traffic, we can turn on Ezoic or Mediavine or AdThrive. We can start bringing in some cash, which, we're starting just now to see. And it's so funny because every market's a little bit different. I mean, there's 3 markets now that I am involved in. Actually, 2 that I'm directly involved in. One of them is my daughter's. And, so I get to see the ad rev coming in from different markets. Right. Both, one of the ones inside the academy. The second one is going to be announced here pretty soon, which I'm going to be sharing with that, which I think you're also going to be able to probably leverage this Etsy thing that we're playing around with now. So I think I probably could. Yeah. And Matt could too. I told him this morning, because he was like, should I launch it? So I start thinking about a physical product. I go, if you want to spend 3 or 5 grand to launch one, sure, think about it, but I wouldn't yet. You might not ever want to.
Well, Matt's having some good, he's having some, he's starting to see some results from just Amazon affiliate stuff. He's in such a great market in terms of parts and different things that he can use in his market.
Yeah.
I mean, he could start off by identifying that, kind of like you've taught, identify one of your affiliates that's really cranking, even go to a private affiliate, not Amazon.
Yeah.
And 20%, 30%, 50% on some of those. And then once that's kind of validated itself, then say, okay, I'm going to do my own private label with this.
Yeah. And that's if you want to, like, I mean, again, I don't want to give it away at all yet, but the thing that we've been playing around with, I say we, my wife, and it was actually my ex-partner, which brought it to her because she just can't sit still. My ex-partner's like, she's just 100%, 100 miles an hour. And she turned my wife onto this. I'm like, well, let's try to bolt it onto this other thing so I can, number one, use it as a case study, but number two, you can have some fun doing it. And it's blowing me away because it's like, okay, if you sell things on like Teespring shirts, you're really kind of locked into just shirts, right? But I didn't realize there's these companies out there that are third party, like print on demand. They'll print blankets, pillows, sweatshirts. Then they'll go ahead and they'll do scarves, they'll do stickers, they'll do all these things. And there's a whole bunch that you can choose from, and you can plug it into your Etsy store, and then it'll automatically integrate. So you can just basically put out all these new products and you don't ever have to deal with them.
Wow.
It's crazy. So I was always under the impression that Etsy was only, custom, handmade.
Wow.
Like the times have changed. Now this is physical stuff, but you're not ever touching it. Never touching it. So it opens it up to where you can offer a whole bunch of different products if your market lends itself to merch type stuff, which I think yours could. There could be some funny sayings that, about your market that I know Matt's market, you definitely could. The market that we're in, both of the ones in the case studies, we definitely could. And so that's another angle before we would ever even want to get into a physical product.
Exactly.
Because once you get into the physical product game, you have to understand there's logistics and there's money, there's capital tied up.
And
bottom line,
it's just inventory itself and shipping and all that stuff.
Yep. And it's something that I've been a part of for many years. And I just honestly, right now, I don't want it right now. I don't want the headaches. I've been there, done that. I don't feel like I want them right now.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll change my mind down the line if something really pops out that's a great thing, but I don't want to go into that thing where I'm creating a product and then all of a sudden it starts getting copied and ripped off. And then I got inventory sitting there that I have to try to offload. I just don't want those headaches right now. And I don't really want to encourage other people to do it, for their own brands if they have all these other options.
Yeah.
Right.
Not only that, but I'll tell you a real life example. It's still, even though I'm focused on building my website and my brand and stuff like that, I've still been kind of crunching around the possibility for physical products and stuff like that. And one of the things that I thought, and it's a very competitive space, but one of the things I had thought about in the past was doggy bags, right? Poop bags, whatever you want to call them, right? And because they're easy to source, and I was kind of just in the back of my mind, and so I noticed we needed some for our own household, right? And I went on. Amazon has gone in, and now they have their own Amazon brand, and they have so many options in this poop bag category and so many positive reviews and stuff like that. I was thinking, why would somebody go to a no name when Amazon themselves is selling and the price is 20-30% less? Yeah. So I'm like, that's what can happen to us if we're not careful in a market. And what if I had a whole warehouse full of inventory of this stuff already?
That's the big one. Yeah. So. It's scary. But anyway, back to kind of like where you are right now and kind of like where you're looking to go. So the way that I see it is like you've created your digital, you know how to do it now. Right? Yeah. You've done it once, you can do it again. Now, if you do, like we had talked about, if you do like a master class to help people, right? That's a little bit more to learn, but we're going to be there to help you with that. But it's just like, that's one more thing to learn, but it's not much different other than you're just structuring it. And then you're going to teach it and you're going to sit down with people and actually like you would if you were in person with people. But I do think that that's a big one for you because think about that. You could own a product that you could charge $27, $37, $47 and your inventory is zero.
Right.
Okay. That's when we can really start to scale something.
And
I've seen
what would
people
something
build
like that, in your opinion, what would something like that look like? Would that be like a 3-hour fast track workshop, or would that be like an all day?
No. People don't want to spend all day, right?
Right.
People want 3 hours max, right? That's why our fast track, our series that we're doing is all about like, let's get this done in under 3 hours. So you know that you don't have to come back next week and the week after and the week after and the week after, and we drip things out. I don't want that. You don't want that. I just want to get what I need to know, get it done, get it kind of laid out in the steps that I need to take them, and then start taking those steps. So I want to learn it. And then the next day I want to start implementing. That's just how I operate. Right. So for you, yours might only be 90 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
It might only be 90 minutes. And you don't look at it, well, it's only 90 minutes. Yours is 3 hours. So I can't charge as much. No, that's crap. That you can charge whatever you want. If that person is getting the result, think about it. If they went to a dietitian or a nutritionist or something like that, they're going to pay more than $27, $37.
Yeah.
Just for a consultation. So you have to look at it that way. So I would personally say, like, you would probably fall, even if you wanted to do like a beta and offer it for $17, right? And then you create it. And then after you create it, then you can sell it for 27, 37, whatever you want. You play with it. And then you can start playing around with what order you're going to sell. You're going to sell directly, or you're going to sell from your book that's going to be $4.99. And then you're going to have a bump or a one-time offer on the back end. So that's what I would suggest. I think that's your future moving forward in the next 3 months. I would set my target there.
Okay.
Keep building the traffic that you're doing. Keep nurturing the list and messaging the list and giving them offers. Keep telling them about your book every now and then, right? Put it in your super signature. Don't stop, right? Just because you sent it out before doesn't mean that everyone bought it, right? We know they haven't. So it just might not have been the right time.
Yeah.
For those people.
So on that note, with the super signature and stuff like that, how readily would you put that in the super signature? Like how often?
Yeah.
Like in my regular weekly emails, stuff like that. Once a month, once a quarter?
I would say more than once a quarter. It always comes down for me is like, how are you promoting anything else in there other than the blog post? Right. If you're not, then there's always a reason why you can do it, right? You're just going to put it in the bottom, in the very bottom. You've seen how we do this, and you break it. And then you just say something like, need help in your plant-based journey, grab the ultimate plant-based guide here.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the super signature.
Yeah.
You could do that in just about every email if you want to, but if you've already put 2 or 3 links in, I wouldn't do it because I don't want to get over that 3 link in my email.
Got it.
Okay. I want to keep it light.
Because I noticed some things. I've been playing around with certain things in my emails, such as, like, even if I'm just promoting a blog, a new blog that pointing that way. What I started doing just a few weeks ago is putting in the PS, like, let's say it's 10 best Thanksgiving recipes or something like that for plant-based eaters.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the body, and usually I try to do it like you said, like in the first 3 or 4 lines to try to make it easier for them to click on it. But then in the PS, I'll put the same link in there, but I'll say something like, hey, by the way, number 5 is killer on this. You really want to check out number 5, and that turns out to be one of the favorites, in my family or something like that.
Yep.
So it's the same link, but I'm kind of reiterating it again, and that's helped my clicks go up a little bit.
Oh, 100%.
So I can see, even if I mention the ebook like that, real casually, let's say this was at the PS to that same 10 recipes for Thanksgiving or something like that. Say, hey, I coincidentally, I started my plant-based diet around Thanksgiving, and some of these recipes were the start of my initial plant-based journey. Mm-hmm. If you need that ebook to help your initial start, click here for that. Like that.
You could do that, or you can just do it in passing. So it would be something like, this is actually, this recipe is one of my favorites. It's actually one that I include in my ultimate guide to going plant-based. And the reason why I like it so much is because it's so flavorful and blah, 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 blah. That one little mention is highlighted. It's a hyperlink. That's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to always be, if you want to hear this, go here. Da, da, da. You don't have to always do that. Just be in passing.
Got it. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. I love that.
The other thing that I would do consistently in all of your new blog posts, every single one, I would make it a point to make a mention to the book.
Oh.
Every single post. And it doesn't mean, again, that it's going to be like, hey, if you want more about that, go here and get my book. It'd be just a link that's going to directly go over there. When I was writing my ebook, one of the biggest things when I was writing my ebook, hyperlink. What ebook? I didn't know you had an ebook, because people are going to come there. They're not going to see your sidebar. They're not going to see your top bar. They're not going to know about it. But every post that you're putting out right now, anybody that comes there, they're going to see it.
I love that. I love
See what I'm saying? So just make that part of your, your writer. You would just tell them, I want you to find a way to segue or at least mention the book, because everything you talk about pretty much could be mentioned around the book.
Got it.
Just about.
And
it
doesn't have to be annoying and be like a pitch. It could just be a mention like that. That's awesome.
Yeah. It does not have to be a pitch. It could just be a mention. Yep.
Okay.
Because then if I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, I didn't know Octavio had a book.
Right.
I'm going to click that. I want to see what it's about.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a simple thing that you can do. And then now that post that's getting nobody to the thing because, to the post because it's brand new, 6 months, it's starting to get 100 a day. Guess what? Now you got a post that's got 100 people coming there a day that can buy your book.
Yeah, exactly.
Times 10, right? So that's what we're talking about. That's how we plant those seeds. And then that seed can also bring people over to your book.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So that's an easy one. And I think anyone listening, whether you're in BCA or not, that's something that's a quick little thing that you could do once you have that asset, but you need the digital asset. It's also something you can always go back to some other posts and look at your analytics and go, okay, these 5 posts are starting to get some traffic. I'm going to go back and inject some more of my mentions of my book in that post.
I love that.
Yeah.
So some other things I was thinking in terms of, coming up with other offers is, do I take some of the most common asked questions or challenges that I make mention to in my free lead magnet and turn those into potential digital products as well? Like I'm thinking, for example, one of the things I was thinking of adding to the, as I go back and refine the ebook and make it better, is adding a shopping list or adding some other things that are commonly used for people that are starting off of this, tools that make it easier for them to start plant-based. But I could even spin that off completely and go down a whole other book creation and say something like, I don't know, here's maybe the ebook would be something like, I was going down the road, I forgot, but maybe something like another tip section in terms of how to take your plant-based starter to the next level, or like a plan B or plan, I don't know, the step 2, so to speak, as opposed to the first 10 days.
Yeah, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, something.
Break it up into phases or something like that, and those can be 3 separate ebooks or digital products.
They potentially could be. Or it could be added to your existing one. And that would be another reason to kind of mention that, to let you know, it's been updated.
Right.
There's been 12 new pages added.
Right.
And this is what's in there. And then you can add it to that. If you don't feel it's enough to justify another full ebook.
Right. Yeah. And that's the problem that I had is do I do a separate one so that I have separate offers, or do I just make the first offer more appealing?
Well, yeah, I think if you can get so I'll give you an example. And we went through this inside the academy in an example, the keto guy, right? He's got 184 meals from popular restaurants guide, sells for $19.99. Why don't you just model that?
Yeah.
It's easy to do, right? And you can start off with, 50 or 75, and then you can add to it and make it more robust, right? I told you that you could create a big, massive thing that people are going to have, and it's going to have that as a part of it. Why not just pull that off of it? And that's, people are like, I would love that. That's
So
going to
I've
help
got,
me.
that's one of my blogs already. I have that. I have
That might even be your bump.
like say for example, like I have a blog that's I think it's set up as how to eat vegan at restaurants, but the core of it is really I broke it up with my writer, and I said we're gonna break this up into 2 or 3 segments. We're gonna target best way to eat plant-based at fast food, and best way to eat plant-based at fast casual or sit-down restaurants, so that they have a list. Like, it's a tool for them to eat healthy no matter where they go.
Yep.
So,
I mean, now that you and I are kind of talking over this, I think that's a bump. And, or I should say, we could reverse it and we could test it where maybe we lead people to the ultimate restaurant, eating guide for plant-based, right? And then you would lead them to your current ebook, and that would be the bump. That'd be easy to do. Super easy. And then what you could do, another cool thing that you could do, is you could take one of those restaurants, one of those meals, and you could say, you know what, when you're not busy, right? Because you're starting to maybe slow down at work or whatever, you're going to commit to, for the next, 4 weeks, you're going to jump on and do at least 2 Facebook Lives every single week. And you're going to basically just jump on and go, hey guys, I wanted to give you a recipe from my latest guide on how to eat out and still, find plant-based or eat plant-based, still be healthy, whatever. And you're going to, here's one that if you go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and you're thinking, how do I make this work? Well, I'll tell you what, you can. And here's how. It's actually in my book, but I'm going to give you this one right here. Boom, boom, boom. You read it, you tell them what it is. Guys, if you want to copy this, go to the link below. Now what you do is you got also assets that you could then deploy in your ads campaign, and you can start driving traffic to those. That's going to drive to the book.
That's brilliant.
Right?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love
that. So that way there, you're always kind of like, so I talk about my brand creators playbook a lot. And I just talk about, the list building section. Well, list building is so important because if we have our own list, we can communicate with those people. That's actually in part 4 of the Brand Creators book. If you want a copy, go to brandcreatorsbook.com. And that's it. I just seamlessly went there. I could talk about validation of your market. It's in here. I could talk about, setting up, your monetization on an affiliate. Like, it's in here, right? So I can just splinter off and just talk about it. We could do endless content around this and just always mention brandcreatorsbook.com. That's it.
I love that.
I
love that.
So I think honestly that now that I forgot about that, to be honest, but that right there is what I'd be modeling, because it's already been proven to work in another market. So why are we even talking about the master class right now? Even I wouldn't even do the master class yet. I would do that first. I would do the restaurant thing first, and then bolt it on as a bump. And then I would also test it as a front end. And I'd start asking your audience right now too, in an email list. I'd be like, hey, I'm getting ready to put together the ultimate restaurant guide for plant-based. What are some restaurants that you've been to that you have found very difficult to find any plant-based? You can also flip it around. Hey, are there any restaurants that you've eaten at that you figured out a way to eat plant-based? If you have, submit it here. I may add it in my upcoming book.
Got it.
Right? Now we're letting them know something's coming. You're working on something. We're going to give them updates. You're going to let them know. And then, by the way, you guys are going to be part of the beta release, and you're going to get it for 50% off.
What I love about that, Scott, which you're a master at this, and honestly, I have no shame in copying exactly what you're doing in my own style, of course.
Absolutely. But copy away.
I love that while you're teaching, or while you're doing the marketing, essentially, you're going back and saying, do you see what I just did there?
Yeah.
You see what I'm doing here? Like, this thing that we're actually doing is actually marketing, but I'm doing it so kind of organically and casually that it doesn't come off salesy. And that's my style. You're basically, you're doing and you're teaching while you're doing.
100%. And it makes it like there's no icky feeling to that.
No. Because what you're bringing is value, and people wouldn't be opening up my emails or checking out my YouTube videos or logging on your podcast or anything like that if they weren't interested in what you have to offer.
Right. think about this. Let's peel back the curtain and talk about what's happening right this second.
Hmm.
You and I are on this call. You are an Academy member. Okay. People are going to be like, oh, they've heard about the Academy, but they just haven't wanted to join or didn't think they were the right fit yet. And now here I am talking about it again. I've got someone in here that's from the Academy. It's you. I know that this is going to bring awareness, right? I didn't tell anybody to go and apply to be a member yet. Right. But I could, but I did mention brandcreatorsbook.com.
Right.
People will go there naturally, and that's happening. So I dropped that in there subtly. I didn't plan it, but it happened. But as you have these assets, and that's why you do want to create your own URLs. And we'll talk about that more in the Academy too. You know, you just buy these domains for, $10 a year or less. And then you have something that you can just always refer to, if you're going to be saying it all the time. So, you're right. It makes it a lot easier to create content that's still useful. So if people are listening to this, whether it's inside the Academy, outside the Academy, they're getting value from you and I strategizing on what you should do next. And we just came up with that whole scenario by us jamming here, right?
Exactly.
And that was it. I didn't plan on that happening. It just happened because you and I were sitting down, we're having this conversation, and we're starting to think through, what do you have for its assets? What could you add? What wouldn't be that hard, right, to do? And then how could you draw attention to it? Well, you could just jump on Facebook and start letting people know a little bit about inside the book, give them one of the recipes out of the 150 or whatever. Yeah. Right. And then you just keep
going. I think this applies to anyone in the Academy or anyone out there that's watching this. Because if you've gone so far as to start your own home base, your own website, and you've developed content, I think I'll be the first to admit I'm guilty of kind of saying, okay, that's published, that's done, let's move on. And you forget that content has value, and that content
100%.
is addressing, for me, it's addressing a Google query that's on there, or it's addressing something I found that's getting high searches on Ubersuggest or something like that. So all of that is readdressable or retargetable or whatever word you want to use there for additional attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And there's no reason to not go back and pull from the archives, right? Because we all think we already talked about it. We already published it, so I can't talk about it again.
Right.
No, you want to talk about it again, right? Yeah. Obviously. And then if you start to see that it's getting traction, then you want to pull it back up again, or maybe add something to it, or bring it up and then just talk about another point on it. So it's always about trying to find angles. That's the way I look at it. It's like, how do I create, like right now, it's funny. I just wrote down this morning for my 2021, like my focus as far as like, what am I focusing on? Right. It's BCA. It's my email list building fast track workshop, the digital product creation one. And I've got 2 to 3 more that will be coming out in 2021. Those are my focus. Those are my attention. But then I ask myself, what content am I going to be creating that's going to bring attention to those? Well, email, right? Digital products, content creation, 3. That's it. So that's all I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be talking about that stuff. I'll probably bring up Octavio. Yeah, I was having a conversation. I'll do an email probably that will say I had a hot seat session with Octavio, and we were talking about, how he was going to be able to scale his digital product. Well, we came up with one cool scenario, and it was adding a bump to it. What's a bump? It's this. You can create bumps once you have a digital product. If you haven't grabbed the digital product creation fast track workshop, you can go here, blah, blah, blah. Right.
I love that.
That's it. So yeah. So you just have to get clear on what you're trying to bring attention to, and then find new angles. That's it. You're just finding angles. That's it.
I love that. And I think that right there, finding new angles, is something that I can get better at, because I know even after a full year and having developed somewhat of a process for content creation, I still get stumped sometimes in terms of how I should update my blog schedule, or like, what am I going to write about next? Like, because it feels sometimes like I've gotten like the top search queries out there, but there's more. There's more long. There's thousands more.
Or just go into questions. Go into the questions bucket. You'll never run out of questions in that bucket.
Right.
Never. And I mean, I went down that road with you too, which I still think it's a great angle to kind of like tap into, is like, you're in the plant-based, but it's plant-based for Beachbody products, right? It's plant-based for another popular workout program. Like, you can go down that rabbit hole like 100 different directions.
Right.
It's just you're bolting on plant-based, right?
So would you do, so like, let's go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
If let's say I have all these generic questions that I've already answered. So would you rewrite those aimed at Beachbody again?
Yeah,
Or-
I would, because I would want them to be their own. I wouldn't want to just make a light mention and then embed it in there. I want it to, if I'm going to go through a program, if I'm going through P90X3, I'm going to go through P90X3. I've already been through 1 and 2, but now I have switched to where I'm going to be plant-based, right? And so now I'm going to start looking at my nutrition, what I can have, what I can't have as a plant-based. So I'm going to be looking for like plant-based diet for P90X, right? And then once I bolt that on, now I've excluded all of those other just generic ones. And now anyone that's looking for that, they're going to find me, because my targeting is so much more precise. It might be less traffic, but it's more precise. And when they land there, they see this whole thing's about Beachbody P90X and plant-based, right?
So would you build that content schedule similar to how I built my existing content schedule, just now targeting that message?
Yeah. So what I would do is I would take my hour or 2 block of content research, right? Doing the research. And I would start to identify what is the most popular Beachbody program. Okay. And then also the ones that are looking for the plant-based, or that are looking for, whatever other alternatives. Right. And then I would start going down into all of the questions that are being asked around that diet. Right. And then I would say, okay, that's one. Now I might find the second one and then the third one. And then I would just, okay, this month's content is going to be on the P90X3. This month is going to be on 21 Day Fix. This one over here is going to be on, Shailene's whatever, right? Like I would just go down that road, and that would be my content schedule. And then once it's done, right? I've created those seeds that are going to be mentioning Beachbody products.
I guess what, just to go a little deeper, is because I know my writer's gonna, because we've done this to a small extent, switching a little bit, or I got a lot of the top plant-based diet long tails. Now I notice there is a ton of opportunity using the vegan code word, and
Sure.
then kind of as we write, differentiate in between vegan and
Sure.
plant-based, so that I'm still kind of the plant-based guy.
Yeah.
Putting a plant-based spin on the vegan blog, so to speak. But my writer will come back and say, we already did this. We already wrote this before. So I'm trying to tell them, yeah, we did, but now we're targeting different keywords on this.
Yep. Yeah. So you're just going to be basically rewriting it. He can't go and take that and copy it. He has to go rewrite it, or just give it to a different writer.
Okay.
Just give it to a different writer. Don't let him rewrite that one if you don't want. You know what I mean? Like find another writer that can just write it from their perspective, without them ever touching that piece of content in the past.
Okay.
The other thing is too, before I forget, I'm stewing over here and just thinking, another angle, another cool thing that you could do is you could start doing reviews on protein shakes and proteins that are plant-based. Best plant-based protein mix, right? Best whatever the next supplement is that people could be taking, or you can even do the question, is Shakeology from Beachbody plant-based? Question.
Got it.
Right? And now just another little side note. Have you ever done any of the P90 or any of the Beachbody programs?
Yeah, I've done P90X, I've done Insanity.
Okay.
I've done a couple
Okay. You and I both. You might want to sign up to be a coach. You're not going to be a coach, but you're going to get 20% commission on anything you sell.
Oh, no way.
That's their affiliate program.
That's awesome.
20%. And if someone signs up for a Shakeology or their pre-workouts, that's recurring revenue. 20%, man. Bang, bang, bang. So if I was in your space, I would definitely start going down that side of it too, because now you're talking about supplements, you're talking about the proteins, you're talking about all of that stuff, talking about Beachbody stuff. You've done Beachbody, so you're familiar with it. You're not like out there just going, I'm going to talk about it, but I've never done it. You've done it. share a little bit of your story, what you liked, what you didn't like, what was hard, what wasn't. And then you can start mentioning their products versus this product. And then people will naturally go through your link, click on it, buy it. All of a sudden, boom, it's recurring.
I like that. I like that. I'm looking at, I actually signed up for another similar one as well. I did a blog on, I think it's top 5 plant-based food delivery programs.
Ooh,
so
nice.
you have Blue Apron, you have another one. There's one called Purple Carrot that offers a nice affiliate program as well. So I just need I just signed up for that, and I need to figure out how I get that in a blog. I mean, I obviously can put it in that blog that I did of the reviews, but is that something else that I would focus in on as a target in terms of like a content bucket?
100%, because that content is actually product based. So, we talk about questions, how-tos, products. Well, those food services are products in a sense. So whether it's a dedicated post that you would do research on, like, best food prepping service for plant-based, that may be that keyword that you're going to target. That would be the post, right? Okay. Or it might be like best, let's see. I'd have to look at the searches, but something like always leading with like best, for plant-based delivery service, right? Or best plant-based protein shakes, or answering the question, is Shakeology, plant-based or vegan, right? We know it is. They're not all of them, but they have like their own blend. Right. And then you could do comparisons. You can do all of that stuff. So if you said, okay, I've done a lot of the content where I've done the base content, I've got that all done. Now I'm just going to focus on product-based stuff, really. And that could be supplements. It could be the programs that, come, along with the plant-based, any of that stuff. And that way, every piece of content you're creating now has a chance to bring in revenue.
Okay.
It's almost like you go through the phase of let's create revenue generating content.
I was going to ask you a little bit about ClickBank, because I know there's some opportunities there as well. I went through it initially, and I don't know if I just didn't do a search right or not, but it seemed like there's a lot of opportunity there, but many of them, at least in the plant-based space, they seemed, I don't know, cheesy.
Shady.
They seemed shady.
Yeah.
Like, is that the majority of ClickBank?
Yeah, ClickBank is tough. I mean, I'm not going to say that all of their stuff is like that, but they've been around for years. And that's the problem too. It's also, the other problem is it does attract those types of people that are promoting like that. I remember when I had a digital product up there, 2 digital products up there for my photography business, and it did well. But the problem is you would get people anybody can promote it. So you'd get people being, they'd be running ads saying like, don't buy this before you read, this post. And they were promoting my thing, but it looked spammy and scammy, right? So after that, I said, I'm not putting anything else up on ClickBank. If I found a good product, I might promote it. But you're right. A lot of that kind of looks shady. Beachbody is a well-known place. I mean, the other thing is they have their on-demand now, which you would get recurring for if someone signed up for a subscription. So I'd be looking at that side of things more than a ClickBank for you personally. Okay. I know the affiliate commissions always look attractive. It's like 50% or 60% of our sales you'll get. But I think you have a lot of opportunity over here. I wouldn't even promote like proteins that are just on Amazon at all because the commission's terrible.
Exactly.
Right? I would do it where I'd find a company like Beachbody, and you've been associated. That would make me feel even better because you've associated yourself with them, and you've experienced it, and you might even want to reach out to other people in the space and interview them and say what they like about it, what they don't like about it, and just start developing content around that. And then what you're doing is you're creating content that is going to also bring in people that are looking for Beachbody type stuff, and then you could get commission on that. All right, so there you go. There is the hot seat with Octavio part 1. And man, oh man, I just love doing those calls. And inside of the Academy, we do those. Generally, we'll do at least one a month. And then from there, everyone else gets to listen in And really, everything is relatable to other people's brands. That's the cool thing, just like you listen to here. It just depends on where you are in the journey. Now, if you are interested in joining us inside the Academy so we can help you build your brand in 2021, then I would encourage you to head on over to brandcreatorsacademy.com, and you'll just fill out a quick little survey there. And then I will have another video that I will be asking you a couple more questions. And then from there, we'll let you know when we open privately. And really, we do this because we want to make sure that it's the right time for you to join. And this way here, you're going to get the most out of it, depending on where you are right now in your brand build. So if you're interested, head on over to brandcreatorsacademy.com, and you'll also be able to watch a quick little video there of me explaining exactly what you'll receive. You'll be able to hear from some of our other members. So head on over to brandcreatorsacademy.com if you're interested in joining us inside the Academy when we open again. All right, so guys, that's it. That's going to wrap it up. As always, remember, I'm here for you. I believe in you, and I am rooting for you. But you have to, come on, say it with me, say it loud, say it proud, take action. Have an awesome, amazing day, and I'll see you right back here on the next episode. Now let's rock your brand.